Hi, so this week I'm showing you how I think I've finally perfected the art of swapping a Nintendo USB-C port. So this is my faulty port. It's got bent pins inside. So first off we need to apply plenty of flux and then get our hot air station over the top, and then we just keep moving it around. Leave it on for a couple of minutes. I use 420C at 70% airflow. You just keep moving it and moving it. You need to make sure the solder melts in the four corners where the port legs are. Apply more flux if you need to. Just push it into the back and then let the hot air blow it right through. We need to make sure we've got enough hot air going to the inner legs so that these don't pull any pads. So just give it a little touch with the tweezers to make sure it's loose. So I apply a little bit more heat, and then when I'm happy, I will lift it away. We never pull at the USB-C port, we only lift it once we know the solder is 100% melted. And we lifted it away, and as you can see, there's no pull pads, so it's a perfect removal. We now give it a couple of minutes to cool down before we work on it straight away. So I'll apply a little bit more flux. We need to remove all the excess solder. So I'll start with the pads to begin with. So I get some solder wick and a large tip hot iron, and I move gently up and down to remove all the excess solder. Because of the size of the port corners, it's normally quite hard to remove with just the soldering iron. So what I need to do is apply a little bit of wick, apply a little bit more flux, pop your soldering iron on the top, and then reintroduce the hot air. So the hot air will help to melt the solder and it will suck it all into the wick. So we do the first corner to begin with. And then as we slide it away, you can see it's completely cleared, and we can use the bottom leg as well. That one goes, and then we move it across, and then the same again on both corners. Keep using fresh solder wick to make sure that all the excess solder gets taken out. Then once it's cooled down again, we just apply some isopropyl alcohol and give it a really good clean. We want to get rid of all the excess flux because we want to keep on top of the cleaning as we go along. Now I'm going to apply a little bit more flux again, and then we'll apply some fresh solder to the pads. We want to make sure that the pads are pre-tinned before we apply the new USB-C port. So there's plenty of solder on all the pads, nothing's joined. As you can see, I've got a little bit in the corner. So I'm just going to use my solder wick to remove that. Because it's quite fresh and it's quite warm, it normally sucks it up straight away. As you can see, it's gone nice and clean, so we can move on. Another quick clean with isopropyl. We want to keep cleaning as we go along, make it easier when we finish. And now we want to heat from below, same temperature again. So I've already pre-tinned the USB-C port, so I'll put those on the legs before it gets fitted. And now we just need to keep moving the heat to move it around, and then keep watching, waiting for the solder pads to start to melt. This is a lot easier instead of waiting for all the corners to melt as well. That's why I like to have it as clean as possible. When we come in with the tweezers, we line it up as perfect as possible, try and keep the heat moving, then push down with your tweezers to get it into place, and then once you're happy where it is, we need to remove the heat. And you just keep holding down for a couple of seconds until you can see all the solder on the legs solidifies. Once you're happy that it's dried, you can remove the tweezers and then leave it again to cool down. And if we just have a quick look under the microscope before we finish the soldering, you can see them port legs all look absolutely perfect. So now we need to apply some flux to the back, because we need to apply plenty of solder into the port legs to make this new USB-C port nice and solid. We just come in with some solder on the soldering iron tip and hold it down to let it flow straight through. So we do this for all four corners, apply as much solder as it'll take because it'll flow through to the other side and make it nice and solid. You can't apply too much solder at this point and you can't apply too much flux either, so keep applying both to make it flow nice and easy. And then we give it another good clean with isopropyl along the back, just give it a good scrub. But as you can see, the port's not melted and there's no damage on the bottom of it. We flip it over, give it another good clean on the top, remove all the excess flux again. We just want it all nice and clean and no stickiness. And then when we flip it over and look at it from an angle, you're able to see that all of the pads are perfectly soldered, they're all on there nice and solid, they're all in perfect line. You've got a fully functioning and almost factory-like USB-C replacement port. So thanks very much for watching, please like, comment and subscribe.